Good day. You are joining me for a session fishing near the Dragon's Teeth. That's right, I've come to Abbotsbury, I've walked along the beach and I'm about probably 200 metres away from the Dragon's Teeth, and it is a stunningly hot, glorious day. I'm actually too hot here in my shelter. I'll be sitting out in the breeze in a minute. But I've come down today. I'm going to meet Ian Clark later. He's going to be arriving shortly and we're going to have a fishing session together. And I don't really know what we're going to catch. The fishing's been terrible down here for weeks, it seems. I know people have been putting mackerel in, and I was told when I got here that there were a lot of mackerel and sand eels around this morning at about 5 o'clock. It's now about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. High tide, I think from memory it was 8:30, but I could have got that wrong. So that coincides quite nicely with sunset, and I reckon the best chance of picking up some fish is going to be dusk through into darkness. What's the plan for today? Well, I've got worm baits and I've also got some bluey with me and some peeler crabs. So that's the plan with the baits. I don't know really what I'm going to pick up. I'm just going to have a fish. Like I say, it's not been fishing too well. I was kind of hoping there'd be more summer species around, like maybe some bream, smoothounds. But all I've heard of as far as the summer species goes is the mackerel. With that said, you never know what you're going to catch when you're fishing. With that bluey, after darkness I might pick up something bigger on it. You never know. I'm going to give it a try. I've got some wire traced rigs with me. Well, that's a mouthful. Some rigs with wire bite trace, that's better, on them, in case I decide to stick that bluey out after a conger. But to be honest, it's a bit calm for my liking. I mean, I don't normally fish this beach. I'm not an expert at catching congers down here, but I know if I was fishing back home for them, which I don't do very often because I don't like catching them, I'd want a bit more colour in the water. And today it is, looking down at the beach there, it looks pretty clear, hint of green in it, but yeah, it's calm as anything, pretty clear. So who knows, I still might stick it out just on the off chance, because it's a long way for me to drive, and why not give it a go? Yeah, so I'm going to get set up and I'll see you shortly. Well, I'm not blanking, I saw some mackerel jump in, so I haven't even got my rigs ready, but I got some feathers on and I pulled in a couple of mackerel and we got ourselves some fresh bait. Nice sized ones as well, big chunky ones. Let's get them off the hook. Look at that. What a stunningly beautiful fish, eh? It's Dorset delivering the goods. That's what we like to see. I'll put these two out of their misery and we'll be sticking these out later on, see what we can pick up on them. Woohoo! Well, fresh mackerel in the bag. I've got 2 rigs out for my worm baits here. So we'll take a look at this one. This has only got 1 hook on it. This is one of my single hook clip down URFE rigs. Let's just put those bits of rubbish down. It's got a 4-foot snood with a green pop up. There we go, nice long snood. Green pop up at the end with a sequin for a bait stop. It's also got a little rubber stop above the pop up just to help hold it more securely in place. And a size 2 Varivas Aberdeens. At the other end, we've got a bit of rig tube and the splashdown on an URFE bar. I'm going to stick a 5-ounce weight on this to start with. Hopefully that'll hold bottom. If not, I've got some 6s with me. So that's our first rig of the day. And the second one is definitely aimed at the summer species that I was hoping would be around. This is one of my bream rigs. It's a 3-hook clip down. Sorry, well, 3-hook loop rig, I think, actually. 3-hook loop rig with these pop-ups, 2 red ones and 1 sort of loomy yellow-green that I got off Wayne, the shore hunter. Lovely pop-ups he uses on his rigs. They're stunning quality. Go check out his webpage if you want to buy rigs, because you won't get any better than his. And I say this as someone who's very fussy about my rigs. His are top notch. So again, we're going to stick a 5-ounce lead on there. Got the splashdown. Looks like Ian and his son have just arrived. 3 hooks. They've all got 18-inch snoods. Look at the top one here. Sorry, this is the middle one. And we got that pop up, and that's also a size 2 Varivas Aberdeens. So we'll take a better look at that when I've got it baited up. But that's the plan for the worms, and I'll get out a rig for that mackerel shortly. See you in a minute. So we're just looking at this bream rig. So the top hook there, that's got a green pop up. Let's see what these snoods are. These snoods are definitely fluorocarbon because it's my bream rig, and they are 0.29 fluorocarbon. So with the bream, they have pretty good eyesight, which is why it's really important to use the fluorocarbon there. And I might even stick a little bit of mackerel on this hook at the top to see if I can pick up either another mackerel or maybe a garfish or something. We're going to put lug on the bottom 2 hooks, so let's get some lug out. With my little ties there. So I've got 6 wraps of lug with me today. Look at those beauties. In fact, I'm just going to move you so you're a little bit lower. Right, bear with me. How's that? Is that a bit more cosy? Right. So we get this rig, we get a couple of these lug. Look at those beauties. 2 lug one. Pop the rest out the sun. I need my scissors, which are going to be in here, or the other one? The other one. And we're going to top and tail these lug, as I always do. Tails, sandy tails off, they add nothing. And then we take the heads off because it just helps those juices flow. And we get my bait needle. 1 bait needle. And we pop these guys on tail first. These are superb, superb worms. Really lovely and firm. So there we go, worms on the bait needle. And we're going to put this on the middle hook and the bottom hook. And then I'm going to try a little bit of that mackerel on the top. Oops, I've caught my shoelace. There we are. Right. So there we go, middle hook. Slide the pop-up up to give myself some space to put the worm on. Hold that nice and tight. Slide it on. And then I'm going to slide the pop-up and the bait stop up so it's just touching that worm. And then we do the same with the bottom snood. So I give myself some space. So remember, this is a loop rig, so I've got a cascade swivel there. And we slide that worm on. And we just touch that pop-up on. Right, so now we need a bit of that mackerel that I've caught. I'm just going to cut a little piece off of it. Bear with me, I'll just get the mackerel out. Just put those baits out the sun. I'm just going to cut a piece off. And then pop the rest back in the cool box. I'm just cutting the tail section off. We'll keep that out for bait. And the rest can go back in the box. Back in that carrier bag, keep it cold. Look at that. That's for later. Little grabby. Right, so I've got the mackerel. I'm going to cut down the bottom there and just take a little piece of that silver belly. It really is a little small strip. Get the stones off of it. Look at that, delicate. And we get the hook. And we're going to just nick that through the skin a couple of times. And leave that to dangle. There we are. Let's see what that picks up. Right, let's get these bad boys chucked out. Right, got the rig here baited up with lug and mackerel. This is going to go on my Tronixpro Xenon C6 low diameter rod, which I often use down Brighton Marina, but it's come with me down here today because it's, well, it was just convenient, I suppose. It was nearby when I loaded up my van, no other reason than that. The other rod I got with me is my Tronixpro Competition Blackout, which has got a beautiful glass tip. Right, so when I make my rigs, I've got the rig gum stops here. It's the first time this rig's been used, so I need to position it. Position that snood so it clips up nice and tight. And then we do the same with the top snood. Pop that on there. This isn't going to go out very far. I'll probably pop it about 50-60 yards. So there we go. slide those stops down, get that in the position. I'm happy with it. Don't want too much tension in that spring. Right, and now all we've got to do is clip it on the rod. There we are. Because I'm only going to plop it, I'm not going to bother with putting my thumbie on. Oh, there we are. Make sure that's not twisted around the rod. Oops. Well, there we go, look. Beautiful lugworm. And that bit of mackerel all ready to go out. Let's chuck it out there. Gentle flick. Fishing on Chesil. So here's my other rig, all clipped up, ready to go. That is the clip down URFE rig with that 4-foot snood, 0.35 fluorocarbon, all good to go out, loaded with that lug. So let's chuck another one out. Now I know this rig's designed for distance, but that is not what I'm going for here. Just starting with some plopping out. I like the fact this has got a nice, whoops, I'll tighten the drag up, that'd help. Nice long snood. So hopefully that pop-up will get it moving around a little bit out there in the sea. Just check my mags, I'm going to tighten them up a little bit. Right, we're good to go. So it's definitely further than the first one. Not whacked by any means, maybe 80 yards. Ooh, a little bit of overrun. Good job I tightened those mags up. Definitely needs a bit of oil in it, this reel. There we go, both rods are out. Let's hope for a fish. So I've just got my third rig of the day out. This is a bar rig. So I've got Bagnal Bar there, splash down at the bottom with a 6-ounce grip. That's again about a 4-foot snood, size 1/0 saltwater champion hook. And you can see I've just baited that up with a little chunk of that fresh mackerel. So that is all good, ready to go out. Hopefully we'll pick something up on that tiny little bait. Right, it's time to reel the first one in. Then we're going to launch out this mackerel bait on the bar rig that I've got ready. Just hang that up, get this all clipped up before I reel in. This little mackerel's looking lovely and juicy. Right, pop that in the splashdown. Right, that's nicely in. And get the cascade swivel clipped into the bar rig. There we go. Check the tension. If it's too tight, it will ping undone on the cast. But now we're going to reel this one in. See if we got anything. Probably not. Oops. Take the ratchet off. I'd set my ratchet because I just went and had a chat with Ian down there and his son Jacob, talking tactics, talking witching hour, being sunset, you know, all fishing. Good stuff. But it'd be interesting to see what the baits look like on this and whether any spiders have had my hooks. This was the one we put out the 3 at bream rig on. I haven't seen any movement on the rod tip, but then I've been busy with other stuff. So you could say I've been slacking. These baits are looking untouched. Although the mackerel that I put on the top hook has gone. The lug, they look like they did when they went out. They just tangled up a bit coming up the shingle there. But yeah, those lug are absolutely pristine, which doesn't surprise me. I'll sort that tangle out in a minute. But yeah, the mackerel strip completely gone. So I'll just pop that lead down next to my tripod leg so I don't lose it. We'll unclip this one and get the bar rig clipped on. So here we go. A juicy blue mackerel ready to go. Right, let's get this mackerel out there. I'm going to walk down the beach again. Yeah, a bit longer. That tension now, I can see it here hanging. There's too much tension in that, that's just going to unclip. So I need to slide that down a tiny bit. Let's see how that flies. If it comes unclipped on the cast, I'll tighten it up again. Probably moved it 1/2 millimetre too much. They are a bit fiddly, these bar rigs. I find them fiddly anyway. That's out there. Right, next time I put a bit of mackerel strip on, we get a bit of bait elastic on it. Try and hold it in place a bit better. But the lugworm looked like they did as I put them out. But they are beautiful fresh worms, so they stayed nicely on the hooks. Oh, my glasses are falling off, which is what I like to see. Well, as expected, it's very quiet. We're not expecting anything to happen till dusk, the witching hour. So it's time to rebait the bream rig, so I'll get some more bait out, the cool box. I'm going to get a little bit of this mackerel again, given that was what was stolen from the top hook last time. I cut it a little bit bigger this time, not much. A bit chunkier, not as long, but chunkier. And then I'm going to put that on the bait needle so that we can get some elastic in it. Once I put it on the hook. Right, so I want this on the top hook. That's the one with the yellow bead. It's useful colour coding the beads like that. You can work out which hook's which. Or at least I can tell which is the top hook. So I'm going to nick this through the skin. Fiddly when your eyesight is not great. There we go. So I've just nicked that hook through there. Hopefully you can see that. The camera's probably a little bit far away. I'm going to get this. This is medium Baytex. I'm going to give that a whip. Making sure the hook point's proud. And the mackerel isn't going to spin round. Right, that's going to hold that much more securely than that little sliver that I put on earlier. There we are. Pull the bait needle out, and that is a beautiful mackerel bait. And I'm going to go with lug again on the other two hooks. Oops. So we're going to get 2 lug out, get these back in the cool box. Don't need to get too warm in there. But we are cooking down here. Hopefully in a couple of hours the temperature will drop off and it'll be a bit easier to keep the bait in a decent condition. Not having to keep going in and out that cool box. Oops, get the right end. So we slide these two on. I don't need bait elastic on these, like I said. They came in absolutely pristine. I'm going to try putting this one even closer. Maybe prop it 20 yards. Right, so top hook has got the mackerel, middle hook is getting one of these lug, bottom hook's getting a lug. And then I might get some dinner because I'm starving. Right, that one's on. Bait stop's nicely positioned. And we get the other one on. Normally I'd bait this up much sooner than I have, but because it's so hot, I didn't want these worms sitting in the sun, dying. Yeah, I think we might just have a little tiny bit of tide pull. My rod tip is pulled round. I know you can't see that, but my glass tip blackout does look like it's got a little bit of a bend in it. Let's use the one I'm about to reel in. Right, let's try not to get this too tangled, Gem. Right, that's all untangled. Except now I've caught my trousers, there we go. I'm going to hang this on the tripod and then we'll reel in. Right, so we're going to reel in the left-hand rod. This has the single clip down URFE rig on it. With that single black. Right. I can feel the lead dragging on the beach. The glass tip gives you a lot of connection to what's happening at the other end. Right, let's see what the bait's like. Absolutely gone. Stripped clean, so it might have been crabs. But yeah, that's not necessarily a good sign. Let's take a little look. Not even a minuscule amount of lugworm left on that. Right, let's change these rigs over. Just heard my ratchet go click on the other one. I might need to tighten that up. The tide's starting to pull. Right, I'll pop that lid down there by the tripod. Don't want to lose it. And there we go, 3 at 1. Oops, whack the other rod while I'm at it. Ready to go. Like I say, this one's going to go about 20 yards. Just tighten that drag up while I'm here. Right, very, very gentle overhead flick. Ooh, how close can you go? That close. 15 yards. Try different distances, see what we pick up. There we are. Ratchet on. There we go. You couldn't get in much closer than that. Well, you could go 5 yards out, but I've gone about 15. It's about where I saw those mackerel jumping earlier, so there might be something swimming around in close, hunting those mackerel. Maybe more mackerel come and take the bait, especially with that mackerel I put on the top hook. Anyway, let's keep watching the rods. Well, look who's joined us today, guys.
Hello everybody.
It's Ian Clark. So brilliant channel, wonderful escapades with Chris normally, but he's not here today.
Chris can't make it, no, unfortunately, but I brought my younger son Jake along with me today.
Yeah.
So and, we're fingers crossed we'll get some action at some stage.
Yeah, and I just saw him cast and he said, you've only been fishing about a year, he said, but he can get it out there. It's impressive.
Oh, he has. He's about 6'5", I think. He's got long levers, hasn't he?
Like about above my hand. Yeah. Yeah, I've got a height disadvantage here, but you know, I can hold my own, I suppose.
But what a beautiful day we've come out on as well.
It is stunning, isn't it? Absolutely glorious.
The tide's running as well.
Yeah, it keeps taking line off my reel. I've just tightened up the drag a little bit.
I put sort of rolling leads on, and they're trundling beautifully just down towards Portland.
Yeah, it's just the last half hour I've noticed it pick up, and tightening up the drag because the ratchet keeps going click, click, click.
I think on Chesil, in my experience, tide is king.
Yeah.
Well, time of day as well, but tide and time of day. So if you can get the both right. We've got the tide, maybe not the time of day.
Yeah, it's a little bit early still, isn't it?
Yet, but the tide should run, 2 hours either side of high. So
yeah, fingers crossed. Well, we're about just over 2 hours before high.
Yeah, and it's tide's at 8, so it should run till about 10.
Fingers crossed.
Into darkness. So I'm going to kibosh it. But I'd say between 8 and 10 is our best bet.
Fingers crossed, eh?
Really. But, but you can't catch if you bait pot in the water, and it's Chesil, anything can happen.
Exactly. I've been here for 12 hours before and not had a bite, and other times you come down and it's mental. So
yes. Although conditions currently are against us, we've had weeks of high pressure and easterly and northerly winds.
It's not been ideal.
The sea is like gin, isn't it?
It is crystal clear. I went down to wash my hands earlier because I've still got mackerel scales all over me, but I went down and thought, wow, it really is crystal clear. Yeah. Back in Sussex, we've got I won't say quite a bit of mayrot. We've had some mayrot.
There's none here.
Here, there's nothing.
There's none. No, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Although, to be quite honest, a little bit of colour in the water I always prefer.
Yeah.
But as that sun loses its strength, I think
fingers crossed.
We've got enough bait, haven't we? And
well, you've got loads. I've got fresh mackerel, crabs. I've brought a bluey with me just for a laugh.
Yeah.
6 wraps of lug.
Yeah.
So plenty.
And I've got some rag as well, and some crab, some squid.
Yeah.
We've got all eventualities.
Exactly.
Covered, and rag.
Yeah.
I mean, I think as it gets darker, I think I'm going to sort of put crab out on one rod.
Yeah.
Hope for an early hound, maybe.
Yeah, could be.
I have caught them this time of year before on Chesil.
Yeah, a few have come out down Sussex this week.
Yeah, and the other one, maybe a bit of fresh mackerel.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I'd love to catch a bass, but that's hopeful, right?
Yeah, but I think, when it's truly dark, if you can just flop one out a few yards out
Yeah.
with a big side of mackerel or a head on
Yeah.
there on a big circle, something like that. And that's probably your best bet of a bass,
Yeah.
I would think.
Hopefully.
But who knows? As
Who
long as
knows
they're
indeed.
quiet.
That's it.
Yeah, but yeah, it's lovely to see you.
Yeah, well, thanks for asking me to come and join you today.
Wasn't it you asked me?
Well, either way, I think I might have said it'd be nice to meet up sometime, and you said you were coming down today. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, well.
And I've got time on my hands, you know, being retired and all.
Well, ditto.
Yeah.
Ditto.
Best decision I think I've ever made.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a big.
You can see it pulling, can't you?
Yeah.
And that one's hasn't even got a glass tip on the right hand one. It's bending right round.
Oh.
The other one's only about 15 yards out, but yeah, might have to put a 6-ounce lead on instead.
Yeah.
But it's holding all right, I
You've
think.
got plenty of room though towards the gate, so
Yeah.
you can definitely roll one around. Can't you?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
But I think since I got here, the wind has completely gone. The sea has become almost flat.
Yep.
Any chop there was on it has gone now. A bit of haze has come in down to the west, but it's looking pretty clear up to Portland.
And we survived the walk.
I did have to sit down for 20 minutes before I set my gear up.
Oh dear, we're getting too old for this.
Yeah. Well, I probably shouldn't have that excuse. I'm 51, but I've got a dodgy knee. It's the trouble.
My daughter.
Yeah. I like to bring my wife along because she carries some of my gear when I have to walk, but she went back to work. It's like, how inconsiderate.
Yeah. Well, hopefully when we come back, we'll have something to show the viewers.
Fingers crossed, yeah.
It would be nice.
Yeah.
I certainly think that as it gets dark, the mackerel will come in and we can get some fish anyway.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
it'd be nice to catch something other than that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. Well, I was quite pleased when I got here to see them jumping, so I could hoik out a couple for fresh bait. So, but I caught 2, and that was plenty.
I
So
was just saying though that if you want to catch an undulate, then this sort of stretch along Abbotsbury is the best, and fresh mackerel
is the bait.
is the bait. So
Yeah.
it might be definitely worth a go as it gets dark again.
Yeah, I'll have to see what rigs I've got with me. I think the only big fish rigs I bought were wire traces for conger, which really is like.
Well,
I have to have a
I've got
look.
something I've got an up and over or a pulley or something.
Yeah,
you can
cool.
That's fine. You can have that.
That other trip, I'd blagged rigs off Becky, and now.
I think it's definitely worth putting one smaller when it's a bit later on, putting one quite big bait out
Yeah,
and fishing one smaller one.
yeah,
Sort of trying to cover all bases.
that's it. Well, at the moment, I've got 2 single hook rigs out. I think no, that's not true. The bream rigs on the.
Well, I've just
Left
bought
one
my
that I
first
chucked in
casting,
close.
which have been out about 25
Yeah.
minutes and they were fine.
Yeah.
I mean, no crab.
Exactly. My lug were pristine. The bit of mackerel I put on had gone.
Which is good.
But then the other one I reeled in that did have lug was stripped clean, so I'm guessing a crab had that.
But the spiders aren't as bad as they can be.
Yeah.
But give them another month
Don't.
and it's an absolute nightmare.
When you come down, it's like every hook's gone. It's like, oh, it's depressing.
Yeah, but then when the spiders are doing that and then they suddenly stop doing it, that's the time to sit on your rods, isn't
Exactly,
it?
exactly.
You know that the hounds or something are in.
Yeah. I went and tried to catch stingray a couple of times last year, and every trip except for one, it was like the spiders just snipping the hooks off.
Oh yeah.
It's like you're sticking massive rag baits out. Like, probably spent about £3 on that bait, and the spider has it all. But that's fishing.
Right. I'll wander back and
Cool.
see what happens.
Fingers crossed for some fish. Well, guys, as you can probably see from the bend in the tip, hopefully there's not too much sun in your face. Maybe I'll move you around. Let's take you with me. Let's move you around so you can see a bit better. You won't have the best angle for the bend in the tips, but there's some absolute tide ripping there. So I'm switching out my 5-ounce lead on my 3-hook rig for a 6. Just unclip it. My ratchet's clicking away where the tide is taking line. And there's a massive bend in that tip. Right, that's the 6 on. Hopefully this will hold bottom a bit better, because it is absolutely ripping from the west to the east. Right, pop that on there, get it all clipped up. Pop that lead back in the tent. I'll be back in a sec. And we're going to reel in the one on the left. That's been out by far the longest. Let's get this in. I actually had a bit of may rot on my line just now, only a tiny bit. but just a little bit. Loads of rot on this line, I can tell you that. That is why those tips are bending. Tighten the drag up a little bit more for the weight of the rot. We didn't have any rot earlier, so it's obviously come in with the tide. Loads of globs of it on this line. Ooh, yeah. Of course, it makes the line all wet when you're reeling in, so it makes the spool a bit more slippy. Enormous amount of rot calming down. Ooh, spraying me in the face it is. It's going to be pleasant when I cast back out. Let's see if we got any bait left on this. Stripped clean, that one. Stripped clean. This was mackerel on a bar rig. It looks like a crab's had a go at that. I'll say stripped clean, it looks like there's a bit of bait elastic left. Right, let's get this one off. And get this 3-up one out. I'm going to walk down to the west and cast this out because the tide's running from the west. Oops, get the line off the tripod. That's it. I'm not going to put this one too far out, but there we go. We've got the 6-ounce lead on there. Very gentle overhead flick, tighten the mags up a little bit. There we go. Ugh, face full of rot. The baits are out. There's 3 lug on this. I've been here quite a while. I'm still on the first rack of lug. That's how slow the fishing is. Let's move that rod round because that's swung round already. Keep the lines uncrossed, hopefully. Ooh. Well, the witching hour is probably about an hour away. It has been ages since I had the camera on. Oops, I've got a grip bit out there. Let's pop that away. It's very, very quiet, as we thought it would be during daylight hours. But I'm going to put on my bar rig a piece of crab. I've got a couple of dead ones in here, so I'll find those somewhere down the bottom. There we go. Put my food back in the cold box. Let's get one of these out. Like I say, they are dead already. There's a dead crab. Pop that one back in under my food. I don't want its juices dripping on my sandwich. So we're going to prepare this crab, take its legs off. There we go. Peel off the shell, start with the bottom. There we are. Get most of that off. Doesn't have to be perfect. Let's take the sides off. And then we'll take the back off. Much easier to take the back off last. Gives you a bit more stability in the rest of the crab. So there we go, we've got the crab. I'm going to cut it down the middle, but not entirely in half. And then I'm going to get my bait needle and I'm going to thread half the crab on and then bend the other half around 180 degrees, sorry. So there we go, we've got the crab on the bait needle there. And I'm going to put some elastic on that. Medium Baytex is what I have with me today. Whip that crab. If this crab had been a little bit bigger, I probably would have just put half on, but it's not the biggest. Certainly not the smallest I've ever had either. Alright, whip that. This is my bar rig. Get the hook. I'm just going to nick that through the crab. Make sure the hook point's proud. And then we're going to get some more elastic and go over that again to hold that hook securely in place. We don't want it slipping, we don't want it twisting. So I'm going to make sure I do plenty above and below the eye of the hook, because that really gives it security in both of those 2 directions. Make sure it goes on nice and tight there. I'll regret this later when I've got to take it back off after it hasn't caught me a fish. But there we go, we'll take the bait needle out, and that is 1 crab bait. Good to go. Right, put the bait elastic back. Give my hands a quick wipe. And I'll have to reel one in to get this chucked out. But there we have it. Look at that. A beautiful crab bait. Good to go. Right, so here's the crab bait on the bar rig. I'll get this hung up on the tripod. And then we're going to reel in the one on the left. That's nearest the sea, furthest from the camera. And we chuck this out instead. I'm not going to put it very far. I'll still clip it up because it stops it getting tangled. Oops. I'm going to get that nicely in the splashdown. I'm going to have to go and wipe my hands again actually before I reel in because they're now covered in crab yolk. Yeah, be back in a sec. Right, got clean hands. Oh, slipping on the shingle. Let's get this one reeled in. I'm going to stick that crab about 30 yards out. Oh. That tide rip is quite immense at the moment. With all that rot we've been getting the last couple of casts, well, more than the last couple. Last couple you've seen on camera. How's my bait looking? Is there any left? I've been getting stripped hooks. And this one is just as stripped. In fact, have I still got a hook? No. No, I do not. And you know what that means, don't you? Spider crab, friendly neighbourhood spider crab. Can he swing from a thread? Take a look above your head. Da-da. There goes the spider crab. To get a new hook on that, won't I? Anyway, let's get this crab out. Let's hope this doesn't meet the same fate as the last one. See you shortly. Well guys, I've decided it's time for a bit of mackerel to go out. Look at that beautiful bait. So this is actually my clip down earth rig, except what I've done is put on this massive piece of mackerel. Now I'm not going to clip it up actually when I cast it out. I made the snood a bit shorter. The reason I'm not going to clip it up is partly because I'm only going to cast close in, but also partly because this rig really spins if you put a big bait on. Oh, I've just got my leg a bit twisted. I've also gone up to a 6-ounce lead because of this bit of tide run we've got. So I'm going to reel in the one on the left, which has been out a while. It's really pulled round in that tide, and this is going to go pretty close in the gutter. Right, let's get this one in. It is absolutely mill pond like now. Jacob, Ian's son, pulled out a mackerel on his lure rod just now. Nice to see. But yeah, we're definitely getting close to the witching hour. So they've now got some fresh mackerel bait as well. Well, I did offer them some of mine, but they were quite confident they'd get one, and they did. So there's mackerel swimming around. There's going to be something trying to eat the mackerel swimming around. That's the theory. And my middle hook's been definitely munched, as has the top hook. Possibly crabs again. I did have that spider crab take my hook just now. Ugh, globby rot. Let's get that off. Gonna have to wipe my hands before I cast this one out, that's for sure. Right, go and wipe my hands dry. Alright, let's just look to see where my other line's going. Yeah, okay, so I'm alright just to walk a little bit to down the beach. Right, I'm going to wet this out and I'll see you hopefully with a nice big bass on the end of that bit of mackerel. In fact, with that bit of mackerel, it was full of roe, so I've actually whipped on quite a lot of the roe as well as a little fillet there. Anyway, I'm going to get it out. We might be in for a spectacular sunset. I've just rebaited the 3-hook bream rig because we are getting close to the witching hour. I need to put a bit more effort in. Get some fresh baits out. I've only got 2 hooks out at the minute. Big bit of mackerel, it's going to stay out for a long while. And a bit of crab on my other rig that's about to come in. mackerel out, threw it clip down out with those pop-ups. Lovely lug, bit of mackerel, you know how it is.
Quiet, isn't it?
Yeah, very quiet. Tide's still ripping though.
Sorry?
Tide is still ripping.
Still ripping, I know.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was just filming the sunset, so
Oh, it's lovely.
it is stunning. Especially with that bit of cloud around it, it's quite dramatic.
Yes, sunset's always better with cloud.
Yeah. But no bites.
No. Well, I've gone away from my sort of small fish approach, and I've gone for crab on one.
Yep.
And big rag bait on the other.
Right. Mixed tactics. I've got a chunk of mackerel on the right hand one in about 10 yards out.
Right.
And the other one's still got my bream rig on with lug and a little strip of mackerel on the top hook.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, this is the sort of this is the time, isn't it?
Exactly.
This next hour.
Yeah. I just said before you walked over, I was saying to the camera, it's the witching hour now.
It is.
Got to start trying. Not that I haven't been trying.
No, but I know you sort of stand by your rods. Time,
yeah,
isn't it,
definitely.
Really? It would be nice to have some sort of indication that something's out there.
Other than the spider crab.
Yeah.
Oh, there goes the seagull.
And no mackerel showing. Isn't that
No.
bizarre? You saw them when you arrived in the middle of the day, and we haven't seen another one show at all, have we?
Yeah, except for that one, was it Jacob pulled in?
Yeah, but I mean,
on the lure.
I mean, that was, he didn't see them, he was just
Yeah.
blindly.
And it happened to be there. Yeah. But it's that lovely light now this time of day. It makes me excited.
Yes, I know. This is the time.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make a couple of spare rigs, so I'm all ready to rock and roll.
Yep. Yeah.
But I'll be very disappointed if we don't get anything in the next half hour or so.
Yeah. Well, I've done a few trips down here recently and had one fish to show for it until those 2 mackerel today.
Yeah.
And it's typically 10 hours driving here and back.
It's a long way.
Yeah. Like last time I came down, it was 5.5 hours to get here. Just insane traffic.
It is a lovely spot though, but
Yeah.
it would be nice if there's the odd fish.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll get bites, but
Yeah, I hope so.
look at that pulling round.
I know, it's mental, isn't it? The glass tip though, it really does bend. The other one's in so close, it's not really doing much.
There's even a current in closer.
Yeah. It's just pulling it around. It's not, the lead's holding all right, but the tip's moving obviously.
Come on.
Yeah. Still, it's lovely to be down here on the beach.
Well, I wouldn't be doing anything else today.
Exactly. But the scenery down here is so much nicer than Sussex, which is all built up.
Okay.
So many people.
Really?
You don't get beautiful views like this one.
No, that is gorgeous.
Yeah. Can't beat it. Funny if I pick up a mackerel on this on the way in, because I had that strip of mackerel on the top hook. Don't really want to catch another mackerel. I had 2, that's all I need. I only really wanted 1. But you could say I got lucky and had 2. Nearly in. It looks like I'm safe from the mackerel. Thankfully. These baits are looking untouched. That's not the best sign. Right, change the rig. There we go, look. A beautiful crab bait, ready to go. It's only half a crab this time. Right, I've walked a little way down the beach. Let's get cast out. Look at my drop length. Again, I'm not whacking it. I haven't whacked anything today. But need to down here, really. And especially with this tide pool. Right. There we go. Time to get the headlamp out in a minute. Just losing the light. There's loads of mackerel out there now. You probably can't see it on the camera, but all around me there's the odd fish jumping. They're not thousands of them, but every direction I look you can see fish jumping. But I'm going to reel in this one with the crab on it and stick out the 3-hook flapper again with a pop-up on, which has got a bit of mackerel on the top hook. God, even about 150 yards out, I can see the odd fish surfacing now. Just put my headlamp on so I can see to do my line lay. Should have brought my little lure rod down, but I had enough to carry, quite frankly. Maybe if I'm awake early enough in the morning, I might give it a go. Come back down here. Loads of fish in front of us, as you'd expect at this time of day. Not the kind I want to catch though. Don't want to catch them just for the sake of it, or to put a fish on camera, because I'm not going to be taking them home and I've got enough for bait. Right, that's come in a nice little tangled ball again. That happened the last time I put a crab out on this. So maybe I'm not going to stick another crab out on that. Right, pop that down near the tripod leg so I don't lose it. And we'll get this one out instead. Now this one has every chance of picking up a mackerel because it's got that strip of mackerel on the top. Have a look. Sorry, turn my headlamp off. Look at that. Can you see that? Little strip of mackerel. Let's get this one out. Right. Little overrun, get that out. There we are. Ian and Jacob and Matt both fishing with lures, seeing what they can pick up. Don't blame them really, but it's not what I'm here to do because I don't want to have to catch fish I'm not going to keep. Right, there we are. That's good. Right, I'll bring you back when there's something else to say. Beautiful, eh? This is Abbotsbury, Chesil Beach. Stunning. It's worth the drive, eh? Well, you know how long it takes me to get here and back. It's got to be worth it. This is glorious. Well, finally, we have a fish on the worm bait. Well, actually, it was on a bit of mackerel. But there we go, look, Mr. Doggy. Ooh, let's get this guy back. It's only a baby, but yeah, there we go. The sea has got a fish in it. Right, it's got rough skin. Put him in my rag, and we go and set this little guy free. Can you see him? There we are. That come out a bit better maybe. He's twisting up round my arm. I'm going to set him free. Well guys, this is the end of the session. I've been fishing Abbotsbury, the mighty, beautiful Chesil Beach. We've had stunning sunsets, we've had mackerel jumping during the witching hour, and I managed to bag a couple just after I got here. And on the regular rigs, just that one solitary dogfish. Jacob also managed to catch a hound, so that was lovely to see come out. But other than that, it has been very, very dead. I've got a long walk back to the car park, so I'm going to start packing up and say thanks for watching. See you next time.